If your cat sleeps next to you every night, it's not random, and it's definitely not just because your bed is warm. You're being chosen for a reason. Most people think cats are independent and don't really care about us. But the truth is, when a cat decides to sleep with you, it's one of the most intentional things they do all day. They're not just crashing wherever, it's a calculated choice based on trust, comfort, and something deeper most owners completely miss. And here's the part that surprises a lot of people. Your cat might not be doing it for your comfort, it's about what you represent to them. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why your cat keeps coming back to you every night and what it says about how they see you. Let's start with the biggest reason, and honestly, the one most people underestimate: trust. When your cat falls asleep next to you, they're putting themselves in a vulnerable position. In the wild, sleep is when animals are most at risk. They can't react quickly, they can't defend themselves, and they're relying completely on their environment to stay safe. So when your cat chooses you as the place to sleep, that's not casual. That's them saying, I trust this human enough to let my guard down. Think about it. Your cat could sleep anywhere in the house, on a chair, under the bed, on top of a cabinet where no one can reach them, and sometimes they do. But when they consistently come back to sleep right next to you, they're choosing closeness over distance. That tells you something. A lot of cat owners misread this. They assume, oh, my cat just likes the bed. But if it were just about the bed, your cat wouldn't need you there. Cats are extremely aware of their surroundings. They notice patterns, sounds, even your breathing. Over time, your presence becomes something predictable, and more importantly, something safe. You're not a threat. You're part of their secure environment. There's also a bonding element here that builds slowly. Every time you feed them, play with them, or just exist calmly around them, you're reinforcing this idea that being near you equals safety. Sleeping next to you is like the final level of that trust. And here's something subtle but important. If your cat positions themselves touching you or even just within arm's reach, that's not accidental. Physical proximity gives them a sense of security. They can feel your movement, hear your breathing, and know instantly if something changes. It's almost like you've become their anchor. So before you think, my cat just likes my bed, understand what's really happening. Your cat isn't choosing the place. They're choosing you. Now, let's talk about something more physical, but still deeply meaningful: comfort. Yes, your bed is warm. Yes, your body gives off heat. But if you think that's the whole story, you're missing what actually matters to your cat. Cats are obsessed with warmth. It's part of their biology. Their normal body temperature is higher than ours, so they're constantly looking for places that help them conserve energy. That's why you'll see them in sunbeams, on laptops, or curled up in the smallest, warmest spots they can find. And you're basically a steady, living heat source that doesn't move around too much at night. But here's where it gets more interesting. It's not just your warmth, it's your scent. Cats rely heavily on scent to understand their world. Your smell is familiar, consistent, and tied to everything in their daily routine: feeding, safety, attention. Over time, your scent becomes something that signals, this is my territory, this is safe. That's why your cat might sleep on your pillow, your clothes, or right against your chest. They're surrounding themselves with your scent because it reinforces that feeling of security. And there's a two-way effect happening here. When your cat sleeps next to you, they're also leaving their scent on you. They have scent glands on their face and body, and even just brushing against you or settling in close transfers that scent. It's their way of marking you, not in an aggressive or territorial way, but more like, this is mine, this is part of my space. So when your cat curls up next to you every night, it's not just about staying warm. It's about being in a place that feels familiar, safe, and emotionally comfortable. You don't just provide comfort. To your cat, you are comfort. People love to say cats are loners. That idea sticks around, but it's not really how they operate. Cats are picky about who they bond with. They don't spread attention around evenly. Instead, they build a small circle of trust, and once you're in, the behavior changes in very specific ways. One of those behaviors is sleeping close. In environments where cats feel secure, they naturally form loose groups. Within those groups, certain individuals stick together more than others. You'll see them resting in contact, staying within a shared space, and syncing their routines. That only happens when there's real trust. Now, bring that into your home. When your cat chooses to sleep next to you, they're applying that same instinct, but directing it at a human. From their perspective, you're not just the owner, you're part of their safe circle. Watch how they position themselves. A cat that settles right against your leg or curls near your upper body isn't just looking for comfort. That placement allows them to stay aware of you without being alert or tense. They can relax while still tracking your presence through subtle movement and sound. There's also a pattern in who they choose. In a house with multiple people, most cats don't switch randomly at night. One person becomes the default. That decision builds over time and usually comes down to consistency. Who moves in a predictable way? Who doesn't interrupt their rest? Who creates a calm environment without sudden changes? Cats notice those patterns more than people think. Over time, they lean towards the person who feels the most stable. Timing gives you another clue. Some cats won't jump on the bed right away. They hang back, watch, and wait until everything settles. Lights off, movement slows, noise drops. Only then do they come in and lie down. That pause isn't hesitation, it's evaluation. Once they decide the situation feels right, they commit. At that point, it's not just about finding a place to sleep. It's about staying close to something they've already decided is safe. So when your cat shows up night after night and takes the same spot near you, you're not looking at a random habit. You're looking at social behavior, just expressed in a quiet, very cat-specific way.
Here's the simplest way to look at it. Your cat keeps making the same choice over and over. Night after night, out of every possible spot in the house, they end up near you. That doesn't happen by accident. Cats don't repeat behaviors unless something about that situation works in their favor. And in this case, it does. Your presence has become part of what helps them settle. Not because you're doing anything special in the moment, but because of everything that's happened before that moment. Daily interactions, feeding routines, the way you move, the way you react. Your cat has been collecting that information the entire time. Over time, all of that builds a clear signal. Being close to you leads to a stable outcome. That's what they respond to. Now look at how they approach bedtime. Some cats arrive only after the room quiets down. Others follow you in and wait nearby before getting comfortable. There's usually a short window where they observe before committing to a spot. That pause matters. It shows they're reading the situation instead of acting on impulse. Once they settle in, the behavior stays consistent. Small adjustments happen during the night, especially if you move. Instead of leaving, they shift position and stay within range. That tells you proximity is part of the goal, not just the surface they're lying on. Another detail worth noticing is duration. A cat that stays for hours is making a different statement than one that comes and goes. Longer stays point to deeper comfort with the environment, and with you being part of that environment. Over time, this turns into a routine. You go to bed, they show up, they find a spot, and the cycle repeats. At that point, it's no longer a one-off decision. It becomes part of how they wind down. Cats don't build routines around things that feel uncertain. So what does all of this mean in plain terms? Your cat isn't just sharing space. They've included you in a pattern that helps them relax and stay at ease. That's why this behavior sticks. And once you see it that way, it's hard to call it random ever again.